Oh, hello there. Yes, well, good grief. Another week begins. Yes, and I know the question you're going to ask me. What's that? No, I'm not going to talk about that today, but I am obviously going to ask me, of course, about, well, the Burke family. Yeah, how are they getting on, eh? How's Enoch getting on? Sitting in solitary confinement with... Oh, no, that's Tommy, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, him. Yes. Anyway, hot news at the weekend. The Good Christian Family have once again proven how despicable the Irish government is in its anti-Catholicism. Yes, you can tell it's 2020s, can't you? Because, yes, the Irish state apparently are really cracking down on the good Catholic boys that the Burkes represent. Enoch's brother Joshua posted this. The government is now stripping my brother Enoch Burke of his salary, yes, because he refuses to use they-them pronouns for a child. This is unprecedented. Yes, indeed. It's unprecedented, isn't it? You know, imagine, right, having a teacher who, I'm sure you're aware of the story, but anyway, refused to sort of use pronouns like the school wanted him to, and then therefore basically decided that, well, he simply wasn't going to do it, so they told him not to come back, and he kept on coming back, and they had to get a court order, and he kept coming back, so they banged him in prison a few times. And believe it or not, all the way through this particular saga, because after all, he's really concerned about the children, isn't he? Yeah, he's really concerned hanging around the school gates. Yeah. Anyway, really concerned about the children, but oddly, in all this time, he's still drawing a teacher's salary. Anyway, the government have decided to fine him a great deal to try and persuade him to just, well, go away. All right, so that's that. Go away, the Burke family. Okay, you run your own school. Go and teach there. All right, okay. If you want to get into sort of some heavy Catholic doctrine stuff, which is, as I pointed out last week, pretty dodgy. But yeah, you can go and do that. But yes, he's actually, through a loophole in the law, been drawing a teacher's salary all of this time, because I guess basically he's in dispute. But anyway, the government has decided to seize assets at this point. In other words, well, I'm sorry, but Joshua Burke is actually lying. And unfortunately, I do believe there are certain bits of the Bible that are a bit anti that. Still, being the good Christian boys that they are, that'll be okay, won't it? Because they'll just go to Mass and they'll be forgiven. Yes, we do have a lot of good Christian boys in this country as well, and they were, certain of them anyway, were certainly jumping up and down at the weekend, because salivating at the idea that, well, we can be a lot more of a Christian country now that Reform are imploding, and we can basically pounce on, well, we can pounce on them and piggyback on them. Yes. As I keep pointing out, the problem with being a bit of a racist, nasty right-wing party is that you can easily be outflanked by anybody that's just a bit more of a racist, nasty, out-there party. And speaking of which, of course, we get Lawrence Fox. Yes, you were wondering what had happened to him. No, you weren't either, I know. Okay, responding to Nigel Farage, complaining about the government and little boats, naturally, saying there's no plan. But of course, Lawrence says there is a plan, yeah. Mass deportations of foreign criminals. He just means foreigners, full stop. Yeah? Because we'd have to then, if you think about it logically, we'd have to, process them through well, like we do now. But and no, he doesn't mean that, obviously. Yeah, close the migrant hotels. You see what I mean? Yeah. Okay, stop the construction of any new mosques, right? Ban face coverings in public. Yes, indeed, because nothing says, for example, that we're a good Christian, tolerant country, like, well, banning the construction of any new mosques, etc. Yes. Now, just to roll the clock back for some of you that may recall dimly the distant past, in the 2020s when Lawrence Fox came to prominence, he was on Newsnight, and, well, he did this, didn't he? Because somebody had accused him basically of being a privileged white male. And he's really hated that ever since, because it completely destroyed his acting career, because, well, he made this face, didn't he? Yes, because that is the face you make whenever anybody does challenge your white privilege. Sorry, but you are, mate, because, you're Edward Fox's son, and you went to Harrow, and you are white. Yeah? I don't know what else to say about that. It's rather like sort of Rishi Sunak complaining bitterly that people think he's an Indian bloke. You know what I mean? It's just there. Anyway, leaving that aside, Of course, yeah. And of course, and again, plotting this on slightly forwards, of course, he then, on the back of that and the notoriety, was given a large amount of money, 5 million quid, allegedly. I'm not quite sure if it was, but anyways, let's say 5 million quid was what he claimed at the time, to set up the Reclaim Party. Yes, set up of course, need to set up the Reclaim Party, don't we? Because, of course, then, we can be the insurgent party. Think about reform, but without Farage. And of course, it all went, well, not very well, did it? No. But at that point, he did get those hands tattooed, didn't he? You may recall that, yes. And nothing says I've basically given up on the idea of being an actor in the future, because I'm on to a completely new and interesting grift here, like getting your hands tattooed. You're never going to work again, are you? Yeah? Oh, I was up for Batman. No, you weren't, mate, because millionaire Bruce Wayne wouldn't have hand tattoos, would he? Anyway, leaving that aside, anyway, reform, yeah. Reclaim, sorry. Yeah, I can see. I actually went through a phase where I very much got them mixed up. But anyway, Reclaim. And you may recall that they did have Andrew Ridgeley for a brief period of time as an MP. But Loza stood for London Mayor. Oh, God, yeah, because, the kids love me. And, yeah, going to get rid of that nasty Muslim bloke. Yeah, him. Boo hiss, Sadiq, that everyone hates, anyway, lost his deposit. And a little known fact, which I discovered mere moments ago, was that Leo Kearse stood for the party and got 0.3% of the vote and oddly lost his deposit. But, he's a really popular guy, isn't he? And another person who is a really good, proper good Christian as well. Anyway, moving on. Christian parliamentarians only in a Christian nation. Yes, of course, we need people in Parliament who are only Christians to represent all of those, people here who are all Christians, like Lawrence Fox, most definitely, because he definitely is Christian, isn't he? It's not just a Russell Brand thing or a kind of Carl Benjamin thing, because that's where the money comes from at present. No, that wouldn't be it. But I don't really know how you'd actually... Think about how you'd actually get that to work. Okay? Yeah? Because, we do have people like the Burkes and others who are quite happy to lie. And unfortunately, some people might lie and be able to get in and then not be good Christians. A bit like various people that claim to be Christians. Yes. Turn the boats around, send them back to France. A safe country. Yeah, you see, it's really easy to do, isn't it? Yeah. For those who don't want to embrace our way of life, respect and adhere to our values of free speech and equality under British law, yeah, you can be Muslim, but just not here. Yeah, there are plenty of Islamic nations on earth. Yes, that's good, isn't it? Yeah. So we just make your life really miserable and basically turn a blind eye and turn ourselves into a Christio-fascist state. But if you don't like that, you can just leave. It'll be fine. Yes, go and live there. Indeed. Yes. Anyway, good Christians abound. Good Christians abound everywhere, don't they? Yes. But we will see a lot more of this. And the major problem, if you like, in and around probably Mr. Lowe no longer being associated with the Reform Party, is that he is that voice in Parliament now. Because the guy comes out with a lot of stuff that I heard described on GB News by a right-wing political commentator as ethno-nationalism. Now, if a right-wing commentator describes you as an ethno-nationalist on GB News, they really mean something else. Yes, a bit like, around characters like, well, the Burkes and indeed, Lawrence Fox. And that's what they're really after. And for no other reason than basically it beats working. I'm quite convinced that effectively, the type of person that Lawrence Fox is, just doesn't want to do any work ever. Even acting is too much, basically. So, yeah, we'll just go down whatever route that is. And it doesn't really matter if you're collateral damage, because after all, you're not as good as him because you didn't go to a posh school with a posh dad, yeah, and have white skin. Not that he's got white privilege, you understand. That would be a farcical notion. Not that he's a racist, you understand. I mean, after all, he's just going to make this face at you, and it just, that is the face of somebody who definitely isn't a racist. And all of the stuff that he posts, along with various other ex-Reform MPs and ex-Reclaim candidates, and he never is racism, because the only racism there is against the embattled white minority, and the hell of a war on Christians there are out there. Still, we can close the mosques and send all of the other people back to wherever they weren't born. Yes, and the joyful news from Texas is that they are going to pass a law to make it illegal, a felony, to identify as transgender. We live in glorious times, and certainly the glory of the Lord will be resplendent upon the earth, and we can rely on these fine, upstanding Christian fellows to bring it forwards. So, mount your steed, and go sally forth under the banner of Christ. Yeah, Christ. Do have a lovely, lovely Monday.